When I opened the front door and smelled the strange, acrid odor, I knew something was wrong. My mother's house, the place I had trusted to be a safe haven for her, felt alien. It was late morning, the kind of sunlight that usually made the lace curtains in Mom's living room glow like warm honey. But that morning, the warmth was gone. The smell hit me first, a sharp, chemical scent that didn't belong in a home. I froze in the hallway, my hands still on the doorknob. The house was supposed to be quiet. It always was. Mom had never liked noise, and since I'd hired Mrs. Kareem, the new nanny, things had been normal. At least I thought they were. I remember the first time I met her. She had a gentle smile, soft hands, and a voice that immediately put my mother at ease. Mom had been nervous about having someone new around. She's always been fiercely independent, a woman who believed she didn't need help. But after her knee surgery, she had agreed, reluctantly, that I should find someone to assist with cooking, cleaning, and simple errands. Mrs. Kareem seemed perfect. She was punctual, organized, and sweet to Mom. She'd hum softly while she worked, and Mom, who rarely laughed these days, would smile like she used to when I was a little girl. Those early weeks, I thought I had found a blessing, someone who could care for my mother the way I wanted but couldn't always manage. Life during that time had a gentle rhythm. I'd visit after work, and Mom would be sitting at the dining table, sipping her tea, a blanket over her knees, while Mrs. Kareem tidied the kitchen. The smell of freshly baked bread or simmering stew would fill the air, and the house would feel alive again. There was laughter sometimes, soft and warm, as Mrs. Kareem recounted little stories about her own family or shared advice about herbs and health. I felt relief in my chest, relief that Mom was in safe hands. But as sometimes happens in life, the smallest changes can hide the largest betrayals. It started subtly. I noticed it first when I arrived one Friday evening and found the house unusually dark. Mrs. Kareem met me at the door, her smile slightly off, her eyes darting around. She said she'd been busy, running errands, but there was a nervous tension in her posture. I dismissed it, thinking maybe she was just tired. Then came the phone calls. Odd ones, late at night. I'd hear her whispering in corners, her voice low, cautious. I'd ask Mom about them and she'd wave it off, too polite to admit she didn't really know. "It's just Mrs. Kareem, dear. She talks to her friends," Mom said, the worry lines deepening on her face. I wanted to believe her. I really did. One afternoon, while Mom napped, I noticed something strange in the living room. A small, locked cabinet in the corner, one I'd never paid much attention to. Mrs. Kareem always said it contained cleaning supplies, but I could see her eyes flicker when I mentioned it. That was the first inkling of doubt. My stomach twisted into knots, but I shook it off, telling myself I was being paranoid. She'd earned our trust, hadn't she? The house itself, once comforting, started to feel like a stranger's home. There were little things at first, a faint smell that lingered like burnt sugar, packages arriving at odd hours, a sudden flurry of activity when I dropped by unexpectedly. My mother, who had been the quiet center of the house, seemed tense, as though she was tiptoeing around shadows she didn't understand. I tried to tell myself that perhaps I was imagining things, that I was simply overprotective. After all, Mom's health had been declining, and I wanted nothing more than to see her comfortable and happy. Yet the feeling persisted, a gnawing, creeping sense that something hidden was thriving in our home, something that didn't belong. And then, the day I walked in and caught the first undeniable clue, the reality hit me like a cold splash of water. The living room smelled of chemicals stronger than ever. There were boxes I had never seen stacked neatly against the wall, each labeled in handwriting that wasn't Mrs. Kareem's usual style. Small vials and packets, neatly arranged, each with a sharp metallic tang. My heart thumped painfully against my ribs. I should have stopped there, walked away, and called someone. But I couldn't. I had to know. I followed the trail, each step heavier than the last. It led me to Mom's guest room, the one she always insisted on keeping pristine. The door was slightly ajar. From inside, I heard the faint hum of machinery. Hesitantly, I pushed it open, and there it was, a small makeshift operation, tucked neatly behind curtains and furniture. It wasn't large, but it was enough. Enough to ruin lives, enough to destroy reputations, and worst of all, it was happening in my mother's home, under my nose. My mind reeled. Betrayal is a strange, suffocating feeling, especially when it comes from someone you welcomed into your life, someone you trusted to care for the person you love most. Mrs. Karim wasn't just negligent or lazy. She was deliberate. She had used Mom's kindness and our trust to hide something illegal. I stood frozen, the smell of chemicals thick in my nostrils, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I wanted to scream, to confront her immediately, but a small voice in my head whispered, "You need to be careful. Think. Protect your mother." For the first time, I realized the stakes weren't just about money or property. They were about our family's dignity, Mom's safety, and my own ability to protect the people I loved. That morning, the calm life I had built around my mother's care shattered in an instant, replaced with suspicion, fear, and the urgent need to act. I remember standing there for what felt like hours, listening to the faint sounds of movement behind a closed door, trying to summon the courage to confront the reality I'd just uncovered. It was a moment of reckoning. A moment when I knew everything I thought I understood about kindness, trust, and betrayal was about to change forever. After confronting Mrs. Karim and alerting the authorities, the house slowly returned to a quiet, safe space. The investigation confirmed my worst fears. She had been running a small illegal business out of Mom's home, using her trust and our kindness as a shield. The relief I felt that justice was done was mixed with a lingering ache. Betrayal leaves marks that no court can erase. Mom was shaken, of course. She had always been trusting, the kind of person who believes the best in everyone. Watching her process the reality of what had happened was heartbreaking. But over time, I saw her strength return quietly, like sunlight filtering back through the clouds. She never blamed me, though I knew the guilt weighed on me every day. I had hired the person who hurt her sanctuary. I had failed to protect her, even if only for a short while. We spent the following weeks restoring the house. I insisted on doing it myself, with Mom's help, to reclaim the space. We scrubbed floors, repainted walls, aired out rooms. Every sweep of the broom, every layer of fresh paint, felt like we were chasing away the residue of deception, reclaiming our peace. I noticed how Mom's laughter started to return, small and cautious at first, then more freely. It was a balm to my spirit. One quiet evening, I found her sitting in the sunroom knitting. The scent of fresh tea filled the air. She looked up, smiling softly. "Thank you," she said simply, "for noticing, for protecting me." I wanted to say it had all been my fault, that I should have been more careful, but instead I nodded, letting her gratitude sink in. Sometimes love and care aren't about never making mistakes. They're about acting when it matters most. As for Mrs. Karim, the authorities handled her consequences. The experience left me wary, certainly, but it also left me wiser. I realized that trust is precious, but vigilance is equally necessary. Kindness should not blind us to reality. In the months that followed, life settled into a quieter, gentler rhythm. Mom's health improved steadily, and I finally felt at ease leaving her alone during the day. We laughed more, reminisced, and celebrated small moments together. A perfectly brewed cup of tea, a freshly baked loaf of bread, the soft rustling of leaves outside the window. The home felt warm again, filled with memories rather than fear. Looking back, I understand the lesson this experience gave me. Betrayal can happen in the most unlikely places, often cloaked in kindness. But courage, attention, and love can restore what was threatened. I had faced fear and uncertainty, and in doing so, I protected not just a house, but a home, a sanctuary for my mother and our family. I share this story because I know I'm not the only one who has placed trust in the wrong hands, only to be confronted with harsh reality. Maybe you, too, have faced a similar moment. A betrayal that shook your sense of safety, or a situation that forced you to act when every instinct told you to hesitate. If there's one thing I hope you take away, it's this: trust your intuition. Protect your loved ones. And even when the world feels uncertain, remember that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet voice at the edge of your mind saying, "I will do what's right." Would you have had the courage to uncover the truth if it had been your family at risk? To step forward when the familiar became unfamiliar? Think about it. Reflect. And know that even in the face of betrayal, there is a way to reclaim peace. If this story resonated with you, I invite you to share your own experiences, support others who face similar challenges, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the power of love, trust, and resilience.